welcome back to the Cozy Rosy Crochet channel. Today I am sharing with you one of my favourite parts of travelling as a yarn lover, buying yarn while on holiday or abroad. Not only is it a fun way to bring home a holiday memory, but it can also save you money. It can also let you discover new fibres and new yarn brands and get you tools that you can't find at home. In today's video, I'm also going to be sharing more of the beautiful yarns I picked up on some of my travels. There are a number of reasons as to why you might want to be yarn shopping whilst you're on holiday. In some yarn producing companies, you can access the same yarn and brands that you're used to, but at a much lower cost. You might find fibres that you haven't found before at home. It does become a beautiful holiday souvenir that you will actually use. It really adds to the story of your projects as well. If someone asks you about something you've made, you can go on and tell them about the fact that the yarn that you used in that beautiful shawl you picked up whilst you were holidaying Morocco or something like that. There really are a many number of reasons as to why you might want to go yarn shopping on holiday, but they really are my top reasons personally. Let me know in the comments why you're thinking about buying yarn on holiday or what successes you've found before while shopping on vacation. Something to think about before you go shopping whilst on holiday is understanding the different ways that yarn weights are displayed and used in different countries. There are different sizings across the world really, but there are three big standards. In the US, you will find terms like fingering, worsted weight, bulky should I say, and then they have sizes as well. So a double knit would be known as a size 3. In the UK, our sizing is pretty standard across the industry. We use double knit for a US size 3. We would have Aran weight yarn, which is based on Aran knitting, and then we have chunky, which is the same as a US bulky, and lots of variations in between that as well. It's quite a minefield. In Europe and in Australia, they tend to count the number of plies used in the yarn. The ply is just like that really tiny strand of yarn you find in the full twist of the yarn. So you would have an 8 ply, which is similar to an Aran, maybe slightly smaller. I think Aran is actually 10 ply. You've got double knit that is a different size yet again. If you're not already up on all the different yarn weights that are used across the world, please don't worry. You can go to the description box and you'll find a link to my downloadable and printable yarn travel checklist, and in there you can find a detailed list of all the different yarn weights and their comparative sizes. Another great idea is to actually take a sample of some yarn that you use frequently. If you always use double knit, take a little snippet of some yarn so that you can do some comparisons in person to see which is similar to what you like to use from a yarn weight point of view. You can of course go by the recommended hook size on the yarn label as well. I have this yarn that I bought in France and it does state that it needs 4mm needles. So pretty much this is going to be a double knit or a size 3 yarn in the US, but this one is French. I'll show you more of these a little bit later. They're all up there in that corner because I do buy yarn every time I go abroad. I've talked frequently before about yarnsub.com. It is a really useful tool that lists almost every yarn in the world so that you can enter the yarn name that you're looking at into the website and check what are comparable yarns. You're likely to find a yarn that's similar to what you're used to using in that list, so you can see which one it compares to. If you're really not sure what you're buying and you're not purchasing there and then, snap a quick photo of the yarn label so that you can go back to your hotel room, do some research, and then you get to go yarn shopping once again, loaded up with all that information you need to make that purchase with confidence. Something that's really worth looking into before you go to a local yarn shop whilst away or visit a big warehouse full of yarn is being aware of what yarn fibres you like to work with. Every fibre is different and you'll probably have one that you really like to work with as a standard, but if you're looking at treating yourself to something that country is known for, you can research in advance which fibres they tend to use so that you know whether or not you want to make the effort to buy some of that yarn. There are lots of countries that specialise in certain fibres based on growing conditions, the animals they breed and rear maybe, so the animals that they're rearing and how they treat the yarns and which ones they blend them with. The weather that they have in that climate will also probably impact on the type of fibres that they offer. So for instance, Turkey is well known for supplying a lot of our bigger yarn houses, as I call them, in the UK. So we have Turkey offering cotton and acrylic Plus a cotton acrylic blends, more popular than ever. They supply a lot of our big yarn warehouses or companies that we have in the UK. If you do remember, Turkey had a big earthquake a few years back now, and it's still having a bit of an impact on supplies 3 years later, with us receiving some of the branded yarns that we know and love. Yarns have disappeared from circulation because they just can't be produced anymore. So Turkey is a really great option for all of your acrylic needs and your cotton too. Peru is really good for your high-end alpaca needs. They're really known for their alpaca yarn. I'm very lucky that this was purchased in Peru for me. I didn't get to go, unfortunately. My husband treated me to some beautiful yarn from Peru. I'll show you more of these because there's another colour as well a little bit later. But alpaca yarn and sheep wool and various other blends using alpaca is extremely popular in Peru, and it will be at a lower cost because there's no added expenses for the travel of getting that yarn to your country other than your holiday costs as well. Italy is world renowned for some of their yarns. There are specialist yarn houses in Italy that offer merino that you have never experienced before. It's such high quality, it's just wonderful stuff. Merino is a type of sheep, if you're not aware, and they also offer cashmere and cashmere blends. You will find some beyond your wildest dream quality yarns in Italy. Again, I haven't been myself. I'm desperate to go, mainly for that reason. India is another big producer of acrylic yarns, especially for us here in the UK. Their colours that they use are absolutely phenomenal. The dyes they have are amazing. They're also well known, of course, for their silk production. There are very uniquely made yarn silks, and that I'm talking about where they recycle silk into yarns. It's just literally shredding strips of silk into a yarn that you can use. It makes amazing bags and lots of other projects. But they also use silk as a blend for different fibres as well. So cotton and silk, unbelievably soft. You can get various blends for silk, and it's beyond your wildest dreams in softness, in coolness for the skin as well. Very good for warmer weather climates using silk in yarn. If these fibre blends are a little bit more unusual to what you're used to, take stock, take a moment just to make sure that there is something you would use. There's nothing worse than coming home from holiday with a souvenir that just looks out of place with everything else in your house, and the same goes for your yarn stash. If it's not something you're likely to use in the next kind of 2 years, maybe hold out on purchasing it unless you know exactly what you're going to make with it. We've all been in that position where we've started a project and we just simply run out of yarn before we finish it. Possibly one of the biggest frustrations ever. It really is a good idea to go out on holiday when shopping for yarn with an estimation of what project you want to be buying yarn for and roughly how much you need. Of course, when it comes to different yarn weights and different plies, it is a little bit more hard to estimate. If you are used to working with double knit and you're, say, a large or an extra large like me, you know roughly that you're going to need about 1,600 meters to make a sweater. With crochet, it's a lot less for yarn, for knitting. Perhaps you always make shawls, so you know that you're going to need, for a kind of small triangle shawl, anything between 600 to 800 meters of 4-ply or double knit. Or perhaps you love making crocheted beanies and you know that one skein of bulky weight yarn, as long as there's 109 meters roughly on there, you're going to be able to get a whole hat out of one skein. Do the thing we always do and just buy one extra skein, because it's going to be really hard to source that extra bit of yarn when you're at home if you want to get that lovely holiday project finished. If you are that spontaneous buyer like me, commit to buying enough to at least make a shawl or a sweater. Now, a sweater is a big ask. If you don't make a lot of garments, maybe don't be buying a sweater quantity, because that's my kind of trick. But if you buy enough for a shawl, around at least 1,000 meters of anything, you're going to be able to make a wide variety of projects. If you are someone that's going to make garments with the beautiful cottons that you buy, then err on the side of caution, go for 1,800 to 2,000 meters as a general rule. They probably sound like really vast amounts, but bear in mind that the average size 3 or double knit skein has between 300 to 400 meters on there. You're looking at 3 or 4 skeins of any yarn to make a average sized project. One of the biggest challenges is the risk of overbuying, because at some point you have to bring that yarn home with you. If you pack like I do, which is panic packing and shove everything into your case before you even get there, you're going to have to ask yourself how you're transporting this yarn home. You can of course bring vacuum bags with you to squish your yarn down and fit it into your suitcase. Do bear in mind weight restrictions and the risk of being charged for extra baggage. You can of course pop it into your carry-on bag if you have an extra allowance for an extra suitcase, so much better. Not many of us have that extra benefit of being able to add an extra piece of luggage when we're traveling, but if you are lucky enough, by all means take an extra carry-on or pop an extra bag into your checked luggage and just fill it with yarn. If you have purchased a large quantity of yarn and you are in some of those countries that offer a cheaper postal rate, not necessarily the US or Canada, their postal is very expensive at the moment, but places like Asia or Turkey, their postal service can go across land and it might take a while to arrive, but you can ship your yarn home safe in the knowledge that it's going to arrive at your door without worrying about squishing it, without it getting damaged, and it's going to arrive all in one piece. So do consider your local postal services whilst you're away for them to transport your yarn home for you. I'm going to mention for a final time to be aware of the weight limits on planes. Another thing to consider when you are out and about on your travels is the brands that you love. Find out where they are produced. A really great example for me are these hook rolls. I have talked about them on this channel before. If you're not familiar with them, they are tulip etymos, and this is actually quite a unique one because it's the lace set, which is quite hard to get hold of here in the UK. It was not me. Once again, I sent my husband on a mission whilst he was in Japan. It's really nice to find out if your favourite hook is produced in a different country, if you are travelling to anywhere near them. The chances are that you'll be able to get your hands on these tools for a lesser price because there'll be no import duties for when they're sending them in to us. And in the case of this Japanese hook set, the price was so right that he bought me 2 of them. Aren't I a lucky devil? And I've used none of them, don't tell him. But the other one was the grey set of standard hooks, which I think 2 to 6, oh no, 2 millimeters, 2 millimeters all the way up to 6 millimeter, but it come with some little nifty tools as well. So tulip and etymos are produced in Japan and are considerably cheaper there than anywhere else. And pony hooks are made and produced in India, so they are a lot cheaper there as well. Another ergonomic crochet hook that is considerably cheaper than what you can buy online or in person are pony hooks in India. You'll also find that the Furls crochet hooks, you know, my favourites, which are all up there above me in that rainbow, the wooden hooks for Furls crochet are actually produced in India. I don't know where, I haven't found that information, and it might be not necessarily allowed to share that, but they're really high quality. So the hook tray that I use in a lot of my videos, which is full of useful things here, that's made in India. So it's got lots of different bits and bobs in it, but this is also produced in India. So you can find some really useful and unusual tools when you're traveling as well. I'm sorry, this is everything I made my husband buy me in Japan, basically, were 2 rolls of tulip etymos and these beautiful scissors. I don't even know what they're for, but I love them and they're just decorative for me. I do need to take them out of the packet, but I just think they're so beautiful because they look so different. If this is a subject that's really close to your heart, you may want to know specifically where you should be arranging your next holiday to get your hands on some seriously cheap and affordable yarns. I've already mentioned that Turkey has some incredible cotton yarns available. If you head to Istanbul's Grand Bazaar and their local textile markets, you are sure to pick up some bargains. India, I've mentioned previously, has those just amazing colourful silks and of course pony crochet hooks. Peru, you of course are heading for that beautiful Peruvian alpaca yarn that you will not get at that price anywhere else in the world. Portugal and Spain are very well known for their wool blends that are available at lower prices than we would pay traditionally in yarn shops here. In Mexico, you're going to find artisanal yarns and fibres and, most interestingly, natural dyes. Now that's quite a difficult one to obviously need to make sure that you're able to import those back in, find out what they're made from, and don't forget to look at the chocolate in Mexico. Italy, I've already mentioned, they have that really high-end yarn and wool fibres. Do check prices because they vary from place to place. It's really worth researching and checking out for factory outlets whilst you're in Italy, especially if you're visiting Milan or Florence. There are a couple of factory outlets around there that are going to be very interesting for you. I suppose you want to see what I've picked up over the years as I have travelled around looking at beautiful yarns. So most recently I've just come back from Toronto, which you may not feel is a yarn destination, but of course I took my own advice and I did lots of research to find a local yarn shop. I've been to Michael's before when I was in Canada. I have been to other stores whilst I was in America. One I didn't know that I shouldn't have been to, which I'm not even going to say the name. And of course I did get to go to a Joann's. Sadly, they are no longer with us, but they have been picked up by Michael's, so that's all fine. I was heading to Toronto and I knew I was going to get the chance to spend some time shopping around Toronto and the surrounding area. And I picked a yarn shop that I knew would stock specifically Canadian yarns. I'll start by showing you the bag. It is the one in the thumbnail. And the yarn shop was called Yarn Untangled. I did go full fangirling mode and have to pick up one of their beautiful totes. Plus, it was hammering with rain. So let me show you the yarns that I picked up. I absolutely fell in love with these trailhead yarns. They are dyed in Canada rather than produced in Canada. It is 100% organic cotton, 40% of which has a recycled content, and it clearly states that it's a bulky weight. The trailhead yarns were one of the first ones I saw, even though they're right at the top of the display. This one, it's called It's a Party, really caught my eye. It's soft-ish. I mean, it is a cotton, so it's not going to be super soft. I'm really interested to see how it works up. And I don't really have a project in mind other than maybe a lightweight, like long scarf that I can wear in summer that is going to really showcase this beautiful dyeing. It's quite subtle. It's almost like a form of dotting when it comes to the dyeing, but I'm definitely excited to work this up. But it didn't quite hit the mark of what I was looking for. I was specifically looking for Canadian wool, and I found these three beautiful yarns. They had a full colour range of this Custom Woolen Mills Limited. They are made in Canada, produced in Canada, and it's grown and processed in Canada. That was really important to me. Of course, I have yarn and wool here in the UK, but I wanted to get something specifically produced and made in Canada. As you can see, I picked 3 skeins up and I think they go really well together. I'm going to make something that to me screams Canada, which is quite literally a long scarf. I'm going to use all of this yarn in a scarf. Now it's marked as a 2-ply, but I know that that means that it's not a 2-ply as in, so from, it's hand spun, I'm assuming, or it's machine spun, but it's done in a hand spun way. So there are 2 plies of yarn that have been spun together, but it looks more like it's been spun in a worsted way. I don't mean as in worsted weight. It's not like a 2-ply yarn that you use for baby makes or projects. This is 2-ply as in 2 strands of yarn have been spun together to create this beautiful yarn. I am really looking forward to putting these 3 colours together. They're very me, and I think they're going to make a really nice warm scarf. Now, I've already flashed a couple of other yarns that I've picked up on my travels over the time. The main one being this Fonty yarn. This is French, and it is French 100% wool yarn. I have used English wool. I find English wool a lot rougher than wool you will find anywhere else in any other country, mainly because apparently that's what we like here. I picked this one also because it's a superwash, which means I can put it in the machine, and I bought a lot of it. Thinking ahead to what I wanted to make with these beautiful colours, there are 3 colourways. I will be making a top-down jumper, and I bought enough yarn to ensure that I would have enough for me to make a full-size sweater in these beautiful colours, and I just absolutely love them. So I purchased this in France in April last year, and it's still on the list to work with. A really good way to test yarns that you're going to be wearing near the skin or around the neck is just to put it gently at the side of your face or on your neck to see how your skin reacts to it. If it is incredibly itchy, then it's not something you're going to want to make a scarf with or even a hat. But this, it feels like acrylic to me. I shouldn't say that, should I? But it feels like it's got a bit of a man-made element to it, so it's soft enough for me to wear. In no way is that going to irritate my skin, which is quite important to me. I have showcased one shade of the beautiful yarns that my husband has picked up for me. He's really kind. It's probably the only way to, like, he supports my obsession with yarn. And I showcased this beautiful purple alpaca yarn. Let me show you the other shade that I have. When he sent me the pictures of what he was buying, I couldn't see, because I think he purchased it and then sent me the photos, and they go quite well together. I think he did quite a good choice. But this is 100% baby alpaca. They are only 50 grams in each ball with a yardage or meterage of 112 meters. But as you can see, it gives you that kind of needle size of 5 to 7 millimeters. So you can very easily work out that it's got to be worked as if it is a worsted weight yarn or an Aran weight yarn. I'm not entirely sure that it is. I would probably say it's a lightweight worsted. Unfortunately, this is hand wash only. That's okay. You know that I do occasionally do a hand wash with everything in it at the same time, making sure that it's all colour fast. But the squishiness and the softness of this yarn is, I wish I could convey it. It does have a bit of a halo on it. So you see that little soft fuzz, that's called the yarn halo. And that means that it is likely to pill or pile. I'm not sure what you call them. I call it goes bobbly. I've had arguments on this channel before about how it's pronounced. I'm still going to say it the same way. It's going to get bobbles on it. That's okay. But it means I need to pick a project that is going to be used with love, shall we say. Not something that I'm going to wear every day. Perhaps a special scarf or a cowl maybe. It'd be beautiful as a cowl. So that's my plan for those four. The other yarns he's bought for me previously were from New York, and they're in my box of hand-dyed yarn. Let me just grab that. I found more while I was looking in my hand-dyed box. So these are the yarns that my husband also bought me from, this was New York, somewhere in New York. Yarn white, fibre-wise, is definitely, well, he didn't make any savings on these yarns, let's put it that way. But they are very, very sweet, and they were called Market Flowers. But these were dyed in America, so close enough. But it's just a superwash merino. Not an unusual fibre, but definitely super, super soft. And aren't they incredibly bright colours? So yeah, these are the choices that my husband has bought me. Not sure where he thinks I'm going to wear them. And then while I was in that box of my hand-dyed yarn, one day, let me know in the comments if you'd like a tour of all the pretty yarns I've bought that I've never used yet, because I never get around to it. I found some yarn that I bought when I was in Atlanta for Crochet Fashion Week, so that's a number of years ago, and this was from the yarn bus, which I had so much fun on. I bought these 3 skeins to work together, and I had forgotten about them completely. Again, hand dyed in America. I don't know why I bought this, because it's a 3-ply, so a US sport weight, incredibly fine, superwash merino, but dyed in America. I mean, I don't know, I'll probably never use that. And then I found some more, also bought from the beautiful yarn bus in Atlanta, which is, well, it was dyed in December 22, so I think I purchased it in February 23. And gosh, wow, these are $30 each. That's 800 meters of, I'm going to say DK. But this is the one I remembered buying for the silk content. So this has 80% superwash merino and 20% silk. And it's stupidly soft. Like, I can't even explain it to you that it's like having silk next to your skin. So this one was hand dyed in Florida. I've not been to Florida. I was in Atlanta, but it's close enough. And my geography is terrible. It doesn't give me where the silk was from, but it's absolutely beyond soft. It really is. Most definitely, this is the softest yarn I have that I've purchased abroad. I'm most excited to use this beautiful yarn from Trailhead Yarns that I've just picked up from Yarn Untangled in Toronto. But yeah, what I like is the fact that once this is stitched up into a cowl or a long kind of floaty scarf and I wear it, I will always remember where I bought it. This is why I mean, I'm talking, how many years ago was it I bought these yarns, and I still remember where I bought them. For me, that's kind of a really nice story to add on to any of your projects. Buying yarn when traveling is such a rewarding part of your trip, and it lets you carry a piece of that place home with you, be it the country of origin, be it the place where it was dyed. You get to bring that home and stitch it up. Do let me know in the comments if you've ever purchased yarn while you were on holiday. Was it a success? Did you buy enough, way too much, or did you just buy what you needed to make something small? And of course, let me know where your dream holiday location would be to go yarn shopping. Don't forget to like this video, and of course subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you get notified of new videos being added to the travel tips series, and I will see you in the next one.